Welcome to our webinar, Maximizing Sales and Profitability with a Simplified Sales Process. My name is Santos Rodriguez, and I'm the account manager here at XK0. Just a bit of housekeeping. Everyone is on mute, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. We are recording this session, so you will have a follow-up email sent to you with the recording of this webinar. In today's webinar, I hope to show you how a truly integrated mobile sales experience can help increase sales and retain customers through unmatched customer experiences, but also improve efficiencies, accuracy, and morale internally. I figured I'd start off with a question. Have you ever tried to quantify the importance of customer experience and what that means to companies that sell business to business? According to research reported by Sage, 89% of the customers who had a poor customer experience went to a competitor. For businesses that have field sales reps, ensuring a great customer experience can be challenging. Let's take a look at some of those challenges. Now we're talking about business-to-business companies that rely on outside sales reps who visit customers on site. We're also thinking about those who have a showroom floor, sell at a trade show, sell on a route, have a parts counter for walk-up sales, or sell at special events. The problem we see is that they lack the information necessary to efficiently and effectively guide the customers through a sale. And if they do get that sale, then they have processes that are more prone to delays and mistakes. And to make things worse, not only are they not creating a great customer experience, these companies, because of their processes, have a higher cost of sales administration. What we're talking about is a bad process powered by bad tools. We have sales reps that have to call into the office to find out available quantities for their own inventory. They're taking orders via order form and having to submit those order forms to somebody in the back office to rekey them. And some companies are still taking fax machine orders as well. The results is a triple whammy. You have mistakes, delays, and overall losing businesses. And that's an outside salesperson's worst nightmare, to lose a customer. And although changing that mindset seems easy, and changing processes as well, many companies are fearful of making a move. Most businesses have traditionally only trusted in their sales back office personnel to enter data into the system, which usually is the sales admin person. They're fearful of opening up their ERP outside to outside access. Either they had a bad prior experience with remote access, or they're afraid that they won't actually get the better experience. Like most people, they like to stick to a routine that they currently have. They don't like change. So here's the deal. In order to give a great customer experience, we must first provide a great salesperson experience. So what does a great salesperson experience look like? An experience that gives sales reps access to everything they need in Sage 100 about the customer, items, pricing, product availability, and so on. Something that can be easily managed, ideally within Sage 100. Something that makes it easier for the salesperson to do their work. And something that saves everyone time, including and especially the customer. Customer-facing sales reps need to provide immediate information on any customer requests. Interactions with customers has got to be smooth and easy, so smooth and easy that some clients that we have even provide access to their own customers so they can place their own orders directly into Sage. Remote salespersons for B2B distributors have specific and predictable needs. Sales reps that are better informed add value to each transaction and can be more strategic. Customers will know when orders will be delivered and can pay immediately to lock in delivery times. Direct to Sage 100 sales orders eliminate time and potential errors by admins rekeying information after the fact. Enabling success is easy with iSales 100. You'll get a supremely informed rep with all the customer information they need. Then, when the customer is ready to place an order, they can take the order, take payment, and promise delivery times. Customers have told us that they see a 30 to 50% immediate savings in sales administration costs. What's nice with iSales is that each sales rep can have a totally different experience depending on their roles and what you've set up in the back end. For those customers that have high transaction volumes, we do have a quick entry screen that I'll show you a little bit later. Customers can see and confirm their purchase with a signature. Remember at the beginning, we talked about what's at stake around the customer experience you provide the customer. What we know now and what we always will be the case is that customer experience is vital. Provide a bad experience and the customer will leave you. Provide them with a great experience and the rewards will start taking care of themselves. As we all know, customer experience is everything. So how does iSales help provide a better customer and salesperson experience? iSales is powered with all the data needed from Sage 100 and is securely integrated using xkzero's web services. Reps will have access to inventory, customers, and open items, all in the palm of their hands, so they can better guide the customer through the sales process. Out in the field, the sales reps can sell with confidence, and all of the orders, invoices, payments that they collect are securely sent back to Sage 100 with no need for anyone to re-enter anything. I'll read a couple of quotes from our customers, what they say about iSales. This one's coming from Swetal Patel from Raja Foods, and they're an Indian grocery store, so they have a chain of grocery stores out there. And he said, we completely eliminated having to enter orders into Sage 100. That alone has saved us about 100 hours per week. But in addition to that, we're doing a better job of keeping grocery shelves properly stocked, and that means keeping loyal customers coming back. This one's from Andrew Paquette with Corbin Turf, and they provide turf solutions for golf courses. Many of our customers rely on 24-hour delivery, confirming the availability of both inventory and same-day shipping with customers in live time was key. And our last quote here from Bobby Gardner from Bassett Salon Solutions. Since our salespeople started using iSales 100, we reduced our sales administrative costs by over 30%. So why should you consider iSales by xkzero? So for current users of Sage 100, it adds a massive value to a platform that they already love, which leads to stronger customer loyalty. And nowadays, new customers are expecting an ERP to have a mobile solution. And now you can provide that for your prospects and your current customers. Deployment is super easy. We can have iSales installed in a matter of hours, not weeks or months. There's no drawn out process. There's a standard Sage 100 module install, and then we install our xkzero web services integration piece on top of that. Let's talk about pricing. Pricing is based on the edition that you need or the client needs. We have three different editions. There's the Inquiry Edition, the Business Edition, and the Enterprise Edition. And with each edition, there's unlimited mobile users, and there is no extra Sage 100 license required except for one that we require for syncing, and that could be so if you have a 10-user mobile Salesforce, all we need is one user to be held in Sage 100 so that we can provide the syncing back and forth of the data. It's a monthly subscription, which means there's no contracts required, and you can cancel anytime. Anyone can download iSales from the App Store. which is connected to our Sage 100 demo instance, so customers can try before they buy. We also do personalized demos, so if there's a client that wants to see more of the solution and ask questions, feel to reach out to me, and we can set up a demo for them specifically. And this is the last slideshow before I get into the demo. We have over $3 billion in annual transactions flowing through our app. So that's just a testament to, so you guys know that this the app is battle tested. Okay. Let's get into some fun stuff here. Let's get into the demo now. All right, let me fire up my iSales. And let me kill this here. Great. So here's iSales, and here's the main menu screen of iSales. So we have iSales, different buckets that we have for different information. So we have customers, we have contacts, and these are contacts within the customer base. We have inventory for your inventory items. Transactions, there's nothing here right now until we start populating some sales orders. And we have open orders and open invoices. All right. So I'll go ahead and click into each of these buckets here, so I can show you what's inside of them. If I go into the customer tab here, I'll be presented with all the customers that are assigned to me. Okay. A couple different things we can do on this screen. If you have a salesperson that has tons of customers, we have a way to easily search through these customers. We can search by name. Okay. It's going to filter down the customer base that way. All right. We can sort by, let's say, if they want to search by city. Okay. Bring back that customer search by city. Let's say if we want to search by zip code. All right, we can do by zip code, and this is a nice feature, because what you can do is, if you're visiting, let's say we're visiting American Business Futures, and you want to see what other customers are around that area, you can do a search by zip code, and it'll pull up all the customers that are in that area, and maybe you can do a drop by to those customers. Okay, I'll go ahead and click into American Business Futures. First thing you'll see is that it was presented with a customer memo. So we follow all the rules of Sage 100. All the information from the customer record is going to be sent over to iSales. So that includes memos. All right. So if there's anything on the back end that your office wants to let the sales reps know, they can put in a memo for that customer, and it'll pop up when they actually click into the customer. All right. So iSales is actually integrated fully within the phone application as well. So what I mean by that is, if I want to click into this for this area right here, which is the address, if I click into that, what it's going to want to do is fire up my map application. Okay, so I can get directions. Same thing with the phone number here. So if I want to click on this phone number for this particular end user, I can click on that. It's going to want to dial the phone number. All right, so it's a little bit of a mini CRM type functionality that you get with iSales. All right, so I'm going to go through some of this information here. As you can see here, we have the ship to addresses. So if there's any multiple ship to addresses that you have set up in the back end of Sage 100, that information is going to be displayed here as well. We have email functionality as well. So if I click on that, it's going to want to fire up my email application so that I can send an email to the contact that I have on this particular customer. Now this next one I'm going to show you is it's a key feature of iSales, and I think it's real powerful for any salesperson to have. It's this sales summary, right? If I click on that, what it's going to give me, information about this customer's sales history, period to date, year to date, and prior year. For me as a salesperson, what I want to know is my customer on track for the same amount of business that they did last year or not? All right, and that can give me some insight into, hey, maybe I need to ask them a question. Hey, what's going on with your business? I noticed you haven't bought as much product from us than you did last year. Can you tell me about it? So that can help you or the salesperson get more insight from the client based on the information that they have here. Okay, so that's a cool feature that I think any salesperson would love to have at the palm of their hands. We have a primary contact, and this is the primary contact for that particular customer. If I click on that, all right, it's going to give me the contact information. All right. Then we have transactions. Now there's nothing in transactions right now because we haven't put anything in the system yet. We have memos. Again, memos, customer memos will flow in through iSales. If there's any credit card information, okay, we integrate with APS and Paya. So if you do, a client does have that, we have the ability to integrate with those two platforms. When we place an order, I'll show you how that looks as well. So we have credit card information. Again, obviously everything's masked as far as the credit card information there. Then we have last purchase history. This is key. A lot of customers that we have, they have customers that always purchase kind of the same things every month or every week, however it may be. So this will give access to that information, so we can go as far back as, you really set the criteria how far back you want to go with purchase history, but gives them the ability to look up information that the client had purchased previously. We have our open orders, and I'll show you a little bit more about on the main screen, because we can get at open orders through the customer itself or through the main screen too. So open orders are going to give me all the open orders for this customer that are in the system. And again, you can search on open orders through various ways. You can search through the sales order number, sales order date. So you have different criteria that you can search for. And if you can see up here, there's this transaction, there's this section here. If I click into that, it's going to give me different options too. So I can search by transaction number, highest to lowest, transaction date, highest to lowest, customer number, customer name, and so forth. So you have different search criteria that you can use within iSales to get at the data quicker. Same thing with open invoices. All right, so we have access to open invoice information for the client. So that's key too. Then you have your terms information. This is all coming from the AR module of Sage 100. So we have your 30, 60, 90 day, 120 days, last purchase amount, things of that nature. Now, if you notice up here in this right-hand corner, we call this our action button. Okay, from this screen here, we can do a lot of the different things. If I click into that, what it's going to do is give me a sub-menu. Okay, from this sub-menu, I can do a couple different things. I can create a brand new transaction that's going to be a sales order, okay, or an invoice or a quote. I'll get to that a little bit after when we start doing transactions. I can create a new contact if I have the rights to do that. I can add a calendar event. If you're at a client and they say, hey, you know what, I don't need anything right now, but give me a call in 2 weeks. You can actually go into the customer record and add an event for yourself to follow up with this particular client in 2 weeks or so. All right. So again, a little bit of CRM type functionality within the app itself. Again, we can email primary contacts from here, get the map locations, logs to the website, call primary contact as well. And then we have this price lookup. Okay, so this is going to be a price lookup based on this particular customer. So if we click on that, it's going to bring up the inventory list that we have in the system, right? So if we click on let's just take that first one, for example, it's going to give me pricing information, a price breakdown based on this customer and this inventory item. So we can use this, and I'll talk a little bit more how we can use this while we're doing a transaction as well. All right, so that's the customer screen. So you can see right there that they're going to have, the sales reps are going to have access to a lot of information that they normally wouldn't have to have at the palm of their hands. So they don't have to call back to the office to find out a customer's address or customer's phone number or anything like that. They can do it right from the palm of their hand with using the iPhone. All right, the next section I want to talk about is the items section. So this is the inventory items section. And if you can see here, we have this little menu here. If we click into that, it's going to give me a list of all items, the regular items, your miscellaneous charges, your comments, your miscellaneous items. So you can dictate which of this information gets flowed into iSales, and I'll show you the back end a little bit later. Okay, so let's go back into all items here. And again, we have that search capability. Okay, so if I want to search for something, let's say I'm looking for something, I'm doing an office and I'm looking for some furniture that's black. So okay, I can type in black. what it's going to do is going to break down the inventory list and show me any information that has the word black in it. And we have categories set up here. You know, within the inventory, you can set up different category descriptions. So we have that as a feature as well. So you can see here, it broke down the list to give me everything that's black. Okay. Another thing you can do is if you know that you want, let's say, a walnut, let me spell this right, a walnut lamp. Okay, you can type in walnut, right? Click into that actual data. What it's going to give me is all the inventory information about this particular item, right? Pricing information, even shows me a picture. If I click into this field right here, it's going to show me a picture, and this is the item that's set up in Sage 100 and Inventory Management module. So it displays item pictures as well. But the most important feature of the item section is this. It's going to show me quantity available on hand, on sales order, on PO, for the different warehouses that we have set up in the system for this particular item. Okay, and we can dictate which warehouses each salesperson has access to. All right, so this information alone is, I think, is really key, because there could be a case where somebody wants to place an order for something, and the sales rep, not knowing that there's no available quantity, places an order, and that causes the delay in the back end, because they have to call the customer up, say, hey, look, we're out of stock on that, you need to pick something else. You know, so that can be a catalyst for some bad customer experience on that end. All right, now if you want to search on, let's say that you don't know which kind of color lamp you want, you just want a lamp, and the customer wants to know, you know, what type of lamps you have available, you can type in the word lamp. It's going to give you a list of the different types of lamps you have. There are different colors of lamps that you have. Okay, so that's inventory. Now we have access again to open orders. Now this is going to give me all the open orders for all the companies that I have assigned to me in Sage 100. If you want to break down this list again, just type in what you're looking for as far as the customer name, and it gives me all the information for that particular customer. Okay, if I want to click into a sales order, it's going to give me the sales order detail, right? Bill to, ship to, address information, even the lines on that particular order. If I click into this line section here, I can get even more detail about this particular item itself. Now remember the action button I told you about? If I wanted to, I click on that, but it's going to give me some options as well. So you can do a couple different things with this. Let's say, for instance, a customer says, you know what, I purchased something, I placed an order with you yesterday. I want to duplicate that order, let's say. Okay. From here, you can create a new transaction from this particular transaction itself. So you don't have to rekey in any information. You can just duplicate that particular order. Okay. Confirmation signatures. Now we have a client that what they had, their process was that somebody would place an order and somebody in the back end would put a sales order in the system for somebody to deliver an item. Okay. But they wanted to have some kind of confirmation signature that the client got the item delivered. So they wanted the ability to have the sales rep pull up a sales order, go to the client, deliver the item, and have the client sign off on that. So what we added was this functionality of a confirmation signature, so that an order that was placed on the back end can be pulled up on the app and actually have the customer sign off on that. We can also print and email an order right from our devices as well. So if we want to email this particular client this order, because maybe they forgot it, they lost it, and we can do that from right here. Now this form is we can modify this form to look just like your forms that you guys have right now in Sage 100. So it's just a matter of us making some adjustments to our form on our side, and you can actually do that yourself because it's HTML. Okay, so that's orders. Invoices as well. Let's say a client asked you, hey, you know, what do I have on balance for this particular invoice? So we can pull up an invoice and see balance information. So you can see here with this particular invoice here, we have a $613.05 balance that's still due. And that's information that, you know, a client can ask for, and at the same time, the sales rep has the ability to answer that question on the spot, as opposed to having them call the back office to find out any open invoice balances. And if they wanted to, again, the action button, use that. They can email or print the actual invoice right then and there for the client in case they didn't have a copy of it. Okay, so those are the tiles. I didn't talk about the contacts. Contacts are basically contacts within the customer record, okay? But let's go into new transactions. This is where the ability for a sales rep to actually place an order on the system, this is how they would do it. So if we go into new transactions, we click on that, okay? It's gonna be just like Sage 100. It's gonna ask you for your customer information first, right? Let's use American Business Futures. First thing that popped up was that memo. I talked about that, the ability to see the memos that are set up in the system through iSales, okay? Now we have different transactions types, right? So we can do a sales order, we can do a quote, we can do an invoice, we can do a credit memo. If you only wanted the sales rep to do a sales order, then we can check that off in the back end as the only option that they can use. All right, it's presented with the transaction date, which is typically the date of the today. All right, and then we had a setting on the back end to automatically make the ship date 5 days beyond the current date. Okay, and that's a setting that you can use on the back end as a ship date kind of promise, if you will. All right, you have the ability to put a customer PO, so I'm gonna put in PO 246 here. All right, it's gonna bring in information about the contact information here for the contact associated with this particular customer. We have the ability to put a comment, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a comment. I'll show you where that shows up on the order. Okay. The ability to put a memo. Say we want to put a memo for this particular order, let somebody know something in the back end. I'll just put this as a memo. Save that down. Okay, then we're presented with bill to and ship to information. Again, like I mentioned before, we do have the ability to have access to the different ship to addresses that are available. So if it's a different ship to address that is not the default, we can select that here. Okay, now let's get into some fun stuff and putting some items in the system here. So if we click on this new line button here, we're going to be presented with all the inventory that we had initially seen before. Again, I'll use that example of looking for something that is black because I'm putting some furniture together. So I'll use that first item here, that two-drawer letter cabinet. Okay. First thing it's going to do is going to give me warehouse availability. So right from this screen here, we can see that we have over 2,400 items available at this warehouse. But if I want to see different warehouses, I can click into this button here, and it's going to give me the different warehouses that are available for this particular item. And I can select any of these warehouses to be on the order. Okay. Now it's going to default the quantity to 1, but like I mentioned before, we do have the ability to pull in pricing information based on the customer, right? So let's say, for instance, I'm at this client and they want to just purchase 1. All right, I could do something really cool here. I can click into this action button here. I want to do a price lookup. So right here, I can tell the client, look at, client, if you buy 5 of these, I can give you a 3% discount. If you buy 10 of these, I can give you a 7% discount. Okay, so that allows the sales rep to upsell while they're at the client. So they have the information right in front of them as far as what kind of discounts that they can give to them based on the quantity that they order. So I want you to pay attention to this unit price here. So right now we have 1 item on there. If I added 10 items, it changed that unit price, and that's based on that the pricing that we have set up for that particular customer. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that at 10. And let's say we're done with this particular line item here. All right, and let's say they want to add they want to add that walnut lamp to the order as well. So I'll look up walnuts, pull that up, check the quantities on the warehouse. Again, we have different quantities at different warehouses. Let's say they just want one of those. Save that down. Now, let's say they want to purchase something that they had purchased before. We can go back into last purchase history because we have that information. And let's say if they wanted to purchase, let's pay the printer stand with basket again. Okay. First thing it's going to ask me is, do you want to use the last purchase unit price? Okay. You can use that last price that they purchased that item at, or they can use the current pricing. So I'm going to just say no to you, pull in the current pricing for that and save that down. Now, typically with any kind of sales order, you want to put some kind of a comment on there. And obviously we want to thank them for their order. So we can put that /C comment in there. And let's say that's all we want to do for now. We can go back to the actual order itself. Now we have different, we have the line items here that we have selected. There goes the 10 of the drawers, the walnut lamp, the printer, and that thank you note, okay? If I try to save this now, it's going to tell me that a signature is required. And this is a feature on the back end that you can dictate, if this is required or not, okay? So to add a signature, we click on the add signature. Sign that off, okay? Now, if we try to save it again, it's going to tell me, hey, you need to do another step. The totals haven't been calculated. Again, this is a feature in the back end where we can dictate if this is required or not, okay? So we want to go into this order and actually calculate tax. And just a little bit about tax, we'll follow all the tax rules that we bring over all the tax rules that Sage has for this customer on the back end. And we also integrate with Avalara as well. So if they do have Avalara, it's gonna use that functionality as well to pull in the current taxes. All right, so to do that, we have these little three dots right here. We click on that, it's gonna want to ask us to calculate the totals. And what it's doing right now, it's going to Sage 100, figuring out what the tax rate is for this particular client, and bringing that over into the app itself. All right. So we want to make a payment on this. Like I mentioned before, we do integrate with Paya and APS. All right. So I'll go ahead and pull in a credit card. All right. Now the first thing it's going to do is, what's your credit card ID? And it's going to pull up. Since we have access to all the credit card information in the system, we can pull up whichever one we want and select an item that a credit card we want to post payment against this particular sales order, okay? And let's say that's done. So we have the order itself, we have the items on the order, and I want to save this down, okay? What it did was it did a quick save, and it bring back the transaction on the screen. The reason why I did this is because we can do a couple different other things while we got the transaction up. I can click on the action button, I can print it out if I have a mobile printer, or I can email it to the client right on the spot, okay? Or I can sync now, all right? I'm gonna go ahead and cancel this, and I'll show you what happened since we actually created a transaction. Now we have a transaction, we have one transaction in the transaction bucket, okay? And I want you to pay attention to what's going to happen right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a synchronization. I'm going to send this information to Sage 100. Okay. Now we have one transaction here now, and we have 62 open orders for this customer. Okay. So to sync, we could have sunk back then when I pulled up that action button, or we can do syncing from the main screen here. So a lot of customers, what they do, or a lot of sales reps, and what they do is they accumulate orders throughout the day. And then let's say they push all the orders to Sage 100 at one time later on in the day. We have you have some customers that as soon as they create an order, they want to push it to the system. Okay, so that's why we had that sync now option. All right, so I can click on the sync button, and it's going to give me two options. There's a sync all and sync transactions. Two different types of syncs, and they do two different types of functionality. So the sync transaction will send that information to Sage 100, while the sync all is a more encompassing sync. So what it does is sends the information, also grabs any new customers, new items, any changes in pricing, things of that nature, brings that back into the device as well. So it's a more encompassing sync. So for a quick sync to send the data off, we can just use the sync transactions. Okay. So watch what happens when I sync this transaction. Remember that open orders number and the transaction number. All right. So I'm gonna sync the transaction now. All right, and what it's doing, it's sending all their data that I accumulated on my sales order to Sage 100. Okay. And once that's complete, what I'll do is I'll go into Sage 100, show you where that transaction's at, and then show you some of the features of how to set up a specific user in the system. Right. So just wanted to let you know that just so you can kind of bring your eyes back to this screen here. The transaction now it's 0. There's nothing there, but the orders have actually changed to an increment of 1 because we added that order to the system. Okay. So let me go into Sage 100 and I'll show you that order. Okay, while we're in the screen, I want to talk to you a little bit about another solution that we have called GetX. Now, GetX is, if you think of Google, how Google is to the internet, where you can type in anything and it pulls up information. We have that same functionality within our GetX solution. Okay, GetX is basically Google for Sage 100. So if I want to search on any kind of criteria that I want, what it does is it gives me information about where that information is in Sage 100. So let's say I want to search this PO 246. All right, it's going to tell me that it has those numbers are associated with three different companies: ABC, EEC, and manufacturing. But I'm looking for a sales order, so I look at the sales order module here. Notice that there is one item there. I can click on that, okay, and actually from this screen fire up the sales order entry screen. First thing it does, it lets me know that there's a deposit on that transaction. Remember, we had actually processed that order with a credit card. Okay. I think this is the wrong order, but let me go ahead and fire up find out where that last order is at. There it goes. Okay, here we go. So this is the order that was sent to Sage 100. As you can see here goes my PO number. Here goes that comment that I put in the system here. In the line items, here goes my drawer, here goes my walnut lamp, along with the printer and the comment. We go into totals. You can see that there's a credit card processed against it. And again, remember we put a memo in the system as well for this particular order. We click on that, so this is a memo. So what this does is allows the salesperson to actually one, have all the information that they need in front of their hands, with an iPhone. Allows them to create an order, send that off to Sage 100. Okay, without having to have somebody in the back end, retype an order, or having to call them for any kind of information. All right, so that's kind of the process within iSales to get an order in the system. I want to also talk to you about the back end and how that all works, on how to set up specific end users or sales reps with iSales. So within iSales, we have the remote user maintenance, and this is where you dictate the functionality for each sales rep, right? So I'm a sales rep here. I can tie that to a salesperson. Again, it's demo data, so I have different. My name is different than the salesperson rep in the system is. But if we go into customers, it's basically checking off information. So if we wanted last purchase history, just make sure that's checked off. And we can dictate how many months of purchase history gets funneled through iSales as well. If you didn't want a particular sales rep to create a new customer, you can just uncheck that, and they won't have that ability to do that within the app, because we have clients that have different levels of sales reps. So some sales reps, they allow them to put a brand new customer in the system. Some sales reps, they don't want them to touch that at all. So this is how you easily control that. On the item section, we can dictate which warehouses that they have access to. Open orders, okay, what happens, what information gets pulled into the app for this particular user, what they can do with the information, if we allow them to print it or not, and if they're allowed to receive, allow them to capture some signatures as well. And we have our open invoices as well. Same thing. You just want to check off what information gets pulled into the app itself. Well, the biggest tab here with the biggest information is going to be the new transactions. This is where we allow them to either create an order, a quote, an invoice, a credit memo. If you only wanted to do quotes, we can unselect everything else and just have quotes be available for them. Okay. Then here is your payment section here. If you're allowing them to pull in payment information against an order, this is where we kind of check that information off as well. So easy, it's really easy to set this thing, to set up iSales and to dictate, which users have access to which information. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back into the PowerPoint. So just to kind of bring this full circle, so how do you provide customers with a good experience in an environment with outside sales reps who are using Sage 100? It's directly related to the tools that they have available to them. Sales reps using iSales are better informed, able to respond more quickly and accurately to customers and prospects. They can take an order when the customer's ready and eliminate time and effort that sales admin spends rekeying orders after the fact. Let's see if there's any questions. I'll check the chat really quick.
Yeah, Santos, there were several questions, and one of them was, can this be used on a tablet? And I answered yes, iSales can be used on a tablet-sized screen, can also run on an iPad.
Yeah, so yeah, you can use it on an iPhone, iPod Touch, or an iPad. Now the iPad is a bigger screen, but the functionality is the exact same. We don't integrate with Android, so it's just strictly iOS devices. Is there another question there?
Yeah, there's a few more here.
Okay.
I did answer, do those using iSales need to be logged into Sage 100? And I said no, but I think that there's a licensing situation that you might want to address to take the detail a little bit further.
Right. Yeah, and that's important because I know there's other solutions out there, and they do require you to have a Sage 100 license for each sales rep. Our solution is different. All we need is we need to have one license available for us for syncing. Let's say, for instance, you have 10 sales reps that are out there. Each of them have iSales. You don't have to have 10 Sage 100 licenses. We just have to have one license available for them to do their synchronizations. So let's say, for instance, we got 10 reps on the field, and they all sync at the same time. It's highly unlikely that happens, but let's say it does. What happens is the synchronization gets queued up. Okay, so it's not like they have to each have a license, and it's not like they get locked out if two people try to sync at the same time. So that's the advantage of iSales, is that you don't have to match the licenses for iSales that to match their Sage 100 licenses. You can have one license available for syncing, and it can facilitate the syncing back and forth between multiple sales reps.
All right, very cool. Also, are there any special system hardware requirements for iSales?
Okay, good question. So what we do during the implementation is we do set up a meeting with the clients and their IT staff. As far as system requirements, as long as they can, it kind of follows the Sage 100 system requirements. So as long as they have Sage 100 installed in their server, that's pretty much what we need. And the only other component is the IIS. And most servers, they already come with IIS. So there's really no specific or special type of hardware that's needed for our application. We just work with the IT staff to set it up correctly, so that's the synchronization between the server and iSales is kept intact. Okay, so we do have a specific way that we want them to open up their firewall to iSales, and we'll talk with their IT staff about that. But for the most part, there's nothing special that's needed to implement our solution.
Okay, so from on the iOS side, it's just whatever the latest iOS is. It works on that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then can you scan in inventory items?
Great question. So remember that client that I was talking to you about, Raja Foods, that had the multiple grocery stores? They actually use scanners with our solution, and we partnered up with a hardware device scanning provider. And what it does is it adds a scanning sled to the iOS devices, either the iPhone or the iPad, turns that particular unit into a scanning device. And we recognize that on our app. So if they do have inventory items that are barcoded, and let's say they're creating an order for a client, as opposed to searching an item through the search lookup, they can actually scan the barcode, and it pulls up that item on our device. We also have the ability to use the camera app as a scanning device. So we can scan using the native camera that's in the iOS platform. So two ways that we can handle that, and depending on their situation, we can talk to you or the client on the best practices for that. Anything else, Dan?
No, there's no more questions at this time.
Great. Well, I want to thank everyone for attending. On screen is our contact information. Feel free to reach out to us. If you have a prospect that is looking at iSales or looking for a mobile solution to bring that functionality to their salespeople, again, Santos Rodriguez, and you can also reach out to Paul Ziliak. And appreciate your time this morning. Take it easy now. Bye.